All right, how's everyone doing tonight? Good, enjoying the food, everything tasty. All right, so tonight I'm going to talk about social media from just a little bit different angle in a bit more practical sense on the different networks that we use, what they're for, how we use them, the way that your children are engaging with them, as well as some tools that are built into those networks that will help you as parents teach your kids how to use them, how to be safe while doing it, things like that. So let's start with Facebook. Hands up if you use Facebook. Okay, so we've got pretty much everybody in the room. Facebook is almost old news to kids now. You know, they use it a little bit, but as soon as all you guys got on, it kind of got uncool a little bit. Sorry. But Facebook can be confusing when it comes to privacy settings. There are a lot of different things that you can turn on and off inside of Facebook settings that will help you control who sees the things that you're posting, who can interact with you, and then an extension of that, who can interact with your kids. So let's first talk about some of the stuff you can control. First off, we've got who gets to see the content that you post. Every single thing that you post on Facebook, when you do that, whether you're doing it from a phone, a tablet, a computer, one of the options when you're choosing text, photo, things like that, there's a drop-down menu there that lets you choose who gets to see that content. There are three main options. First one is public. That one's fairly self-explanatory. Post something and it's public. That means anyone, whether they're friends with you or not, can look you up on Facebook and see the things that you're posting that are posted under public. So how does that affect us? Job applications, people in church, anything like that. Anyone can look you up and see the stuff that's posted there. The second option is only friends. Fairly self-explanatory, right? Only people that you've approved to be friends with on Facebook will see the things you post under that content. But I know if you guys are anything like me, I don't really pay all that much attention to who I'm friends with on Facebook. There's people on there that I haven't talked to in a long time. Who knows what they're up to, who knows what they're doing, so keep an eye out on that. And then the third option when you're posting is only friends accept. So what this does is it lets you post something and it'll share it with everyone except for people that you kind of cross off a list, right? So if your kids are being a little sneaky and they want to post something, but they want all their friends to see it, but they don't want their parents to see it, that's an option, something you guys need to be aware of. All right, so the second one, who gets to see your friends list, okay? So you have the option, hello? You have the option of making your friends private. It's okay, we'll see what we can do. You have the option of making your friends list private, or you have the option of making it available to everyone. So how does this affect you? Again, going back to the job application things, if you have ever looked up someone else's profile and clicked on their friends list, you see everyone that they're connected to, you see everyone that you share in common. It is fairly easy for you to start jumping around different places and making connections off of that. In addition to that, when you get messages from people or friends requests from someone, it will usually say they have common friends with you. That's something you really need to take a hard look at and teach your kids to do this as well, because, like I said before, most people don't really pay attention to who their friends are on Facebook. So if you get a friend request or your child gets a friend request from someone, and just because it says they have mutual friends in common, doesn't necessarily make that a safe thing to do. Take the extra minute, go look, find out who it is, make sure it's someone that you actually know, someone you actually want to connect with. Third option, who can comment on your post? Okay, does anyone have any family members that might have like different political views than they do? Does this ever come up for you guys? It comes up for me quite often. So how this works, the person that created the post gets to make all the decisions around who gets to comment and who doesn't, okay? So that means when you're posting something, you get to control, I only want my friends to be able to follow, or only want my friends to be able to comment on this, or you can open up to anyone. But keep this in mind. If you've got a friend that usually posts things that are only private, that are maybe you've got a family group that you can communicate with pretty often, They post something, you start commenting on it because you're able to look and see, hey, this is a private post, this isn't something that's public. The person that created that post to begin with can change the privacy settings on that post at any point in time. So something that started out private can eventually be changed back to public. Does that make sense? No, it gets a little bit tricky. All right, and then the last one, who can contact you? So friend request. Facebook doesn't actually do a very good job of this. You really only have two options here. You can accept, or you can allow people to send friend requests to you and your children, just everyone, anyone can do it, or you can limit it to friends of friends. So again, like we talked about before, if there's a mutual connection there, that would allow someone to be able to send friend requests to your account or your kids' accounts. All right, so let's talk about what we cannot control on Facebook. The biggest one is what other people are posting. So that could be family, it could be friends, it could be the friends of your kids. You might have great relationship with your kids. You might understand everything that they're posting online. You know they've got a good head on their shoulders. They're able to make the decisions on what should I be posting and what shouldn't I be posting online. But you have no idea what their friends are posting on Facebook. So keep that in mind when you open this doorway, that even if you've got stuff in your house under control and things are great between you and your kids, you understand everything that's happening there, Facebook has no really filter or control for you to be able to limit what other people on Facebook are posting. So you do kind of open floodgates a little bit there for inappropriate content, things like that. I'm sure you guys see it all the time on Facebook. You do not have much control over that. All right, one last part on Facebook. In the privacy settings on Facebook, this is something that could help you out if your kids run into like online bullying type of things going on. You have control over if people can tag you and post it in photos. So let's say, Marcus, I took a picture of you at a Christmas party, right? Maybe you were dancing and it was a really weird angle. Yeah, I posted it on my Facebook because why not? I thought it was hilarious. And I tag you in that, okay? Let's say that week you were applying for a job. Someone went and looked at your page and saw you dancing at the weird angles, like, oh, I don't know about this. This Marcus guy looks kind of shady. He's a little bit shady. But, right. One of the options you have is what's called a review option with tagging. And I personally have this turned on my profile. You can turn it on yours, and I would highly recommend that you do so for your children. What it does is, let's say I tag Marcus in the compromising dance photo. He gets a notification that says that I've posted it and that I've tagged him in it. He then has the option to say, yes, this is fine. Go ahead and let him tag me in it. Or no, this is not okay. This is not something that I want on my Facebook page. This comes in handy, especially during election times. So if you've got family members posting you in videos that you'd rather not be associated with you, you've got that option. All right, before we wrap up with Facebook, let's talk a little bit about how you can keep an eye on your kids and what they're doing on Facebook. A lot of this can be done just by being friends with your kids online. If they're not specifically trying to hide things from you, most of the stuff that they're posting online is something that you'll be able to see. You can go to their profile and check it out. That is by far the easiest thing to do. But there are some things that cannot be monitored that way, specifically direct messages. So if you're sending messages from one person to another, this is not Facebook posts, this is messages inside Messenger. That is something you will not be able to monitor for your kids unless you log into their account. So how you handle that's up to you. I know social media, you guys know kids, so you guys can handle that part of it. You will have the option of logging into their account from a different device. Kind of like a spot check kind of a situation. You know, periodically you can log in and just see what's going on if you want to handle it that way. It is possible that they'll be notified when you do that. Just FYI, if you're going to do spot check, keep it above board, let everyone know what's going on. If they know that they're going to be checking in from time to time, they're probably going to be behaving better that way anyway. All right, let's move on to Instagram. Hands up if you use Instagram. Slightly less, dipping down a little bit. All right, so Instagram is growing faster than Facebook, especially with kids especially with younger groups. So since we have less people that are familiar with it, I want to talk about a little bit about what it's for and what people use it for. At the very core of it, Instagram is for sharing photos. There's a handful of ways that you can do that. And when I say photos and videos are kind of interchangeable because they really both work the same way as far as Instagram is concerned. When you take a photo and share it on Instagram, there are 3 different places that it can end up. One is your feed. So if you go and look at my profile on Instagram, the feed is the thing that you're going to see. It's every post that I've ever made to Instagram, and it stays there forever unless I delete it. The second option when you're posting photos to Instagram is you can post it to what's called a story. This is where it starts to get just a little bit more tricky. Stories disappear after 24 hours. So if I post something at 9 o'clock in the morning today, 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, it disappears. That feature is really popular among younger children because it's kind of a fun way to post something that's not quite as polished. You know, usually the things that go on the feed that stay there forever are the pretty, perfect selfies with the perfect lighting and the perfect makeup and the perfect angle that stay there forever. Whereas posting things to your story, since it disappears, who cares? Doesn't really matter. And then the third option, just like on Facebook, is you've also got direct messages inside of Instagram. It works the exact same way that it does on Facebook. I can send a message from one profile to another. Nobody else can see it except for the 2 people that are involved in that conversation. Before we wrap up on Instagram, there's one other thing that I want to talk about that doesn't apply as much to Facebook or Snapchat. Instagram can become a bit about vanity numbers. So when you look at my profile on Instagram, you're able to see how many people are following me. So especially with younger kids in general, or even adults sometimes, it's a bit of a popularity contest. So if I've got 200 followers on Instagram and you've got 1,000 followers on Instagram, like, sweet, good job. Like, you're doing great things. But when we start talking about kids in school, it can become unhealthy. So if you've got a kid that struggles with popularity, things like that already, have conversations about that. Talk about how unimportant these numbers really are in life before we just kind of unleash it on them. As far as privacy settings on Instagram, it really only applies to one area, and that was the first part that we talked about when you're posting photos, and that's going to your feed. 2 different ways that you can set it up. You can set it up as public. Means exactly that. Everything that gets posted to my feed when it's set on public, everyone can see it. The second option is private. What happens when I have it set up on private, that means the only people that follow me are able to see my content. If you looked me up on Instagram and I had a private account, once you found me, it would just say private. You wouldn't see any of my photos, you wouldn't see any of the information there, you would just see that it was labeled as private. To get access to that, you would have to then follow me and request access to that. When I have my account set up as private, then I have the option to either say yes, go ahead, come on in, take a look around, or no, I don't know who you are, like, go away, right? That is really the only options that you've got inside of Instagram. So it's really all or nothing. Everything's public or everything's private. I personally would recommend, again, I know social media, you know kids, so this is going to fall on you guys, but I would personally recommend having an account set up under private. It's a lot easier to have control, or at least more control, over who is going to be able to see the photos that your kids are posting online. Was that a stretch or a question? Okay, just making sure. We're going all the way over. Cool. Moving on to Snapchat. This will be the last one, and then we'll wrap up real quick. Snapchat is pretty similar to Instagram stories in that everything that you post on there disappears after 24 hours. You have probably read news stories or articles about Snapchat being incredibly dangerous for kids. Just like when Cassidy was talking about earlier, it's a tool. It's a tool for photo sharing, just like Facebook and just like Instagram. The biggest difference is that everything that you post disappears after 24 hours. Because of that, sometimes decisions being made as to what get posts or who gets sent what is a little bit looser. especially when it first came out, it really had a reputation of being more for sexting than really anything else. That's not necessarily true anymore. Again, it's a tool. You can use it for that. You can use it for other things. But the fact that it disappears after 24 hours makes it quite a bit more difficult for you as parents to keep an eye on what your children are using it for. So if your kids are interested in Snapchat, do your research. Spend some time learning about it. Start an account of your own. It is fun. It is really fun to use. It's a good way to send photos back and forth to family members or friends. They've got a lot of fun filters to make you look like crazy eyes or dogs or whatever. It's fun. But definitely do your research before. As we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that kids use social media for the same reasons we use social media. They want to connect with friends. They want to connect with family. So as you're making decisions around whether to allow them to do this or not, just really understand and go back to that idea that this is a tool. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. But the more research you guys do and the more familiar you are with Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, the easier it's going to be for you to make decisions about what's right for your kids, the timing of all of that. And that part's up to you. So thank you very much.